Okay. Hi, Amy. How are you?
Well, Douglas, how are you?
Doing fine. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
So, as we were just talking about, just as an icebreaker, you just got a new puppy. When did you get the puppy?
Literally 4 days ago.
Oh, okay.
That's why I had scheduled you last week because I thought, well, better do it pre-puppy, but didn't work out that way. But yes, he is a couple months old, but definitely a puppy still. So a lot of training involved.
Is this your first puppy?
I had one growing up, and he was a Weimaraner, big dog. And this is a totally different scenario. Very small, cute little thing. He looks like a teddy bear, but he is loud when he wants to be. Surprisingly loud for a small little frame.
Well, they do take a lot of attention when they're young, just like human babies, but but they grow up much faster. After 6 months or so, you'll see a significant change in the behavior, and they'll get a little more adjusted to everything. 4 days is, yeah, they're still trying to figure everything out.
And we got him from a shelter. So you can
Oh, well,
add a
good for
whole
you.
other element to it,
Yeah.
whereas not only is he not completely housebroken, he is also not used to a house, like like a different environment, which is scary for the little guy, unfortunately. Yeah. So, but we'll see.
Happy to hear that you got one from a shelter too, because it always breaks my heart to go to a dog shelter.
I
It's just,
I know,
you
I
know,
know. Same here, and I want to take them all, but what would
yeah,
can only do what you can do.
that's very true.
So,
Well, good
hoping
luck.
he'll be a little companion. Thank you.
Good
Thank
luck
you.
with the puppy. Hope he brings you many years of happiness. Let's see. Your latest book is called Dare to Do Nothing. You've also got other novels, For Better or
That's
Money,
correct.
For Love of Sanity, or Sanity, for Sink or Swim, For Sex or Revenge, For Strip or Gamble. Oh, that one sounds interesting. Um,
Yeah, that's actually you would like that. That's set in Las Vegas.
yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, it sounds
old
like
Vegas.
it. It sounds like old Vegas. Yeah. Well, let's talk about your new book, though. Dare to Do Nothing offers a counter argument against any urge to become a workaholic. I think most of us in America are guilty of workaholicism, if there's such a word. And I've noticed that particularly when I spent time out of the United States. I've traveled around a lot, and I spent actually 3 years working in Thailand years ago teaching English. And
Oh.
a whole different mindset for the way they work. And I think
hmm
we
I
are the guilty ones for being a workaholic. So tell me a little bit about the premise of the book and why it's not good that we should be workaholics.
Well, it's a different style than my normal. I write general fiction usually, and we were going through such an interesting year with the pandemic, and the book was basically it. Since we all had to take a step back and reevaluate our lives and what was happening, I wanted to write something that was different because the whole world was on pause. And so I thought to myself, well, this is not a bad way to be per se, if, as long as we're safe and healthy and whatnot. So I kind of developed this philosophy where, sitting back and doing as little as possible. What's wrong with that, really? I mean, granted, we had no choice, but on the other hand, maybe we do have a choice when we when we when we weren't in that kind of situation. Because a lot of people realize that life is precious, but they realize too late. So I felt like I could impart my wisdom, and by telling people to do as little as possible and putting the emphasis more on fun. I mean, how can we really go wrong? Because we can't take anything with us. So that was really my intent, and I hope I achieved that.
Well, it's very true. Um, and I think that the pandemic, if there is something to come out of this in a positive light, it will be that people will stop and reassess their priorities, where maybe spending more time with the family, spending more time doing things that one likes to do, like writing, or hobbies or art or music or anything that brings people pleasure, rather than just the daily 9 to 5 grind. I hope that that message has permeated with people in this country after this pandemic, because I think that we're very set in our ways in this country, and I think sometimes it takes something like a pandemic to kind of smack people in the head and say, look,
Right.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Take it down, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Douglas, I have 4 exceptions to the rules of doing nothing, which are drinking, eating, sleeping, and having sex. And so if you emphasize and work on those 4 things, everything else just falls into place. And when you think about it, as long as you're doing one of those things, everything else is bearable. If you're bowling, I hate bowling, but if you're bowling and you're drinking, it's a lot more fun. If you're at a really nice restaurant and you're eating and you're relaxing, well, it's much better than eating in your house. It's like, does that make sense? So you're kind of applying those 4, I guess, daily habits, or they should be daily, is really important. It puts the emphasis back on ourselves. And, it might sound a little hedonistic, but if you can get away with it, why not?
Well,
So,
it's true, although you do have to balance, because one of those
well,
4, if you do
right. This
too
book
much,
is intended to be a spoof on self-help. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. It's very
Okay.
tongue-in-cheek. It was inspired to make people laugh and get some comic relief, during this time. So, yeah, so you can't take it really seriously. I mean, I don't really mean that's all you should do, but you should make it part of less stressed about it. But like I was saying, the balance is important, because you can't have one without the other. If you haven't, I've come from a family, I've worked very hard in my life. Don't get me wrong, but that's why I can appreciate working less hard and enjoying my life more, because I know what it means to have that time. And, I'm grateful and I'm very lucky. And it's like, and if people can take that time, they should. And, it could lead to a less stressful life, with less pressure, and therefore their health will be better. There's a lot of advantages.
Oh, I agree. I definitely agree. And, I think that some companies have made an effort to sort of move in that direction. I know that the days of the gray metal desk office and bad lighting and terrible air,
Oh, yeah.
and people smoking cigarettes in the office all day long, those days are gone. And I notice there's more of a concerted effort by CEOs to make work environments more of a friendlier place. Bigger spaces, lounging areas, food on tap all the time. And
Absolutely. Even a lot of industries have changed, like the fashion industry. They're putting out clothes that are more comfortable. We're not, they're not putting out tight, they still are, like lace corsets. Like we're not, I think the whole world has really learned from this time. And a lot of industries have changed, and corporations especially. And look at how many people work from home now. Look at how much commercial space there is out there, and there's no real estate, no residential. So it really has affected everything.
so, just a little bit about you. Do you write for a living, or do you have something else that you do as well?
No, I write for a living. Yeah, recently I've worked from home, but I used to work from every outdoor facility, coffee shop, restaurant, you name it. I usually write in the afternoons. I have a sort of a routine. And, I wasn't always a writer. I didn't publish my first novel till 2013. Prior to that, I was an artist. And I was living in Manhattan, and I really did go in every field. I was an actress for a while. And then I was in the art gallery scene. So, I I never knew what I wanted to do. And then it worked out that I just started writing about all the things I had failed at. And people were telling me, what you're writing is very funny. It's interesting to some people. And I was like, huh. And then one thing happened after the next. And I eventually realized in about 2010 that I was capable of writing a novel. And so I just got to work on my first one for Better Money. And it took me a long time because I wasn't very educated. I didn't go to college for literature or writing or anything like that. I was more in the acting scene at that stage. So I did teach myself a little bit how to write, mostly by reading. But it paid off. I'm lucky. I've been very well received with a lot of different original ideas. That my stuff is definitely edgy. I take a lot of chances. I don't see the harm. What do I have to lose? So, and it's kind of worked. So I've been fortunate.
Your first novel, did you get that published right away, or did you self-publish it?
The first one, I had a manager and an agent at the time. And first one I did self-publish, yes, at the time. But I had my own PR and my own way. And I was out there and selling it myself. And I did well for not having like an entire mecca of like publicists and stuff like, I had just become a snowbird. So I was still in Manhattan, but I was also in Delray Beach, and I was meeting new people and in sort of an art scene in Florida, which was like really helpful. So yeah, I did the first one myself. That's correct. And my last few have been a traditional publisher, but it wasn't always the case.
How long has your latest book been out now? Dare to Do Nothing.
Almost 2 months. So.
Oh,
yeah,
not that long. Yeah, how's it doing?
Yeah, not long at all. It's doing well. I mean, the reviews are mixed, but they're mostly positive. So I can't complain. Especially my book was in all the airports, all the major metropolitan airports, and 256 actual different bookstores and book stands and Penn Station and places that it could get a lot of exposure. So that has helped.
Oh, that's great. That's super. Well, we do have to wind this down. Do you have a website that you want to give out?
Sure. It's easy for people to remember. It's just my name, which is Amy, and then my last name is Minty, Minty, mintY.com. So and you can kind of go on there and see what I'm all about. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. It'll show you my recent books first and then expand upon my others.
So there are links to purchase your books from your website?
Sure. They'll lead you right to Amazon.
Okay, great. Well, Amy, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing. And best of luck with the new book. It sounds like it's doing well. I hope it continues to do well.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I just, more importantly, I hope that, I make somebody's, if I can make one person laugh and like just get out of their head for a second, that's all I intend to do. So I hope I've succeeded at that. So.
Well, I think we all need a laugh. I think sometimes life gets too serious for a lot of us. And just to take a break and have a good laugh cleanses the soul. Absolutely.
Agreed, Douglas. Yeah. Yes. And don't forget the eating, drinking, sleeping, and having sex. Very important.
Absolutely.